Hey guys,
This is Ruby,
and Nicole.
and you're listening to She's All That. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of She's All That. This is our very first man panel, and we are so excited for these two guys to answer all the questions that you submitted.
So we have Kyle and Jose here, and Kyle, we tried to kind of pick two people who were really good guys, but that had different experiences. So Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but you're recently single, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Jose is in a relationship, and his girlfriend is one of my really good friends. So that's why I have Jose here. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess you'll get to know them more throughout the episode, so I don't want to say too much.
And we just also want to say that whatever Kyle and Jose say, that doesn't mean that all guys think this way. This is just a perspective from just two regular guys, so no pressure. We just don't want you guys to be messaging us, especially you boys, saying that some of the things they said were accurate. So we just want to say not everything they say means like all guys think that way.
Totally. And one more thing before we dive in, we asked for questions from all of the ladies out there, and we literally got like 60 or 70 questions, and there's no way we could answer all of them, obviously. So we just picked our top ones, and we will be definitely doing more man panels in the future so we can use some of those questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ruby, take it away. You can ask the first question.
Okay, boys. First question. What is something you find attractive in a girl?
Clarifying question. Is this like physical attraction or like quirks and attributes in her character?
I didn't think anything. What do you like? What maybe like you could say both, or what are your top ones?
For me, it's very cheesy, but it's one of the biggest things that I notice in a girl, and it's her eyes. I don't know why, but I have like just a thing with girls that have colored eyes. And then just another thing would be like if she acts the same around her friends, and if we're like together on a date, if like she doesn't change the way she acts, that just like small little things like that catch my attention.
I love that. That's such a good one.
I have never thought about that. Interesting, yeah.
Well, maybe that's good that you don't think about that.
You're the same, Ruby. I can take it. You're the same obnoxious person that I know in life.
I am on the first day because I am with Nicole. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Kyle, what about you?
I'm gonna have to agree with Jose on the eyes thing. That's just something that I immediately look at when I meet somebody new or am talking to somebody. So yeah, I would say eyes. I would say like a quality in character would be how she treats like old people and how she treats animals, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh,
that's very sweet.
Thank you.
Kind of hard. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to talk as much because this is just the man panel, but honest to God, I didn't even think about any of those things. I would think you guys would say like, oh, I hope she's like confident or she's like funny or something or easygoing. But these are really sweet, just thoughtful things in a person. I love that.
Well, I have to say two things actually, and also I'm sorry because Ruby and I discussed that we weren't going to talk as much, but I just don't think that's in our blood. So anyways, number one, I feel like we picked really great guys though. Like you guys have good character, you're good people, and so, not saying that like there's terrible people out there, but like these are some of the better ones, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna get good answers.
Yeah.
During your intro, Nicole, actually you were like, we wanted to find like really good guys who are sweet, but we got these guys instead.
What?
No, I'm not saying like that's what I was expecting. I was just saying like, oh, how funny would it be if she
oh my god. No, I truly believe you guys are great. Okay, yeah. Second thing about the eyes, I am so mind blown by that because I never notice people's eyes. Like I literally never notice it. I remember I would be dating people for months and they would be like, what color are my eyes? And I'd be like, oh shoot, I don't even know. That's weird. I don't know why I don't notice them. I mean, cool if people do, but I don't.
Wait, Jose, do you have brown eyes or black eyes?
Brown.
Okay, I have brown eyes too. You have brown eyes?
Yeah, they're brown.
Yeah. And you have colored eyes, and I think that's why.
Maybe.
Because I also would notice eyes too. I've told you that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just always think that's so funny because I'm like, wow, I never noticed that ever. Okay.
Well, for me, it's always been growing up. My parents were always like, when you talk to people, always look them in the eyes. that's what I've always been doing since like I was a little kid. So obviously when I started talking to girls and like being attracted to them, started dating them, like that was the first thing that I would notice, because it's like first contact, just eyes, and it like just brought a whole bunch of attention.
Because Jose, you said they have to be colored, or not have to, but that's attractive to you. What about you, Kyle? Does that same thing, or is it like the shape of the eye, or what's going on?
Shape of the eye.
So it's a little bit superficial, but I grew up with two sisters, and getting ready for family events, getting ready for church, etc. I'm always like the first one ready of my family, so I just lay on my sister's bed and watch her like put on makeup.
Oh.
And so like watching her put mascara on seemed like the most tedious and annoying thing ever. So growing up with two sisters and watching them do all these things for, you know, their makeup routines and hair things, and it just gave me appreciation for somebody else to do that, if that makes sense. So anyways, yeah. So long story short, I take appreciation in like makeup, but like specifically eye makeup.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyle, what a cutie. I just appreciate your answers. I appreciate both of your answers. Okay, are we ready for number 2, or do you guys have anything to add? You got it? Okay. I forget, men are very few words, you know? Okay.
Straight to the point.
You guys get to the point. Okay, number 2. How do you know that a date is going well? And then there's a follow-up question to this. What makes you decide to ask a girl on a second date? So maybe start with the first one. How do you know a date is going well?
So a date, I know that it's going well if I'm not feeling nervous and I can tell that she's also not feeling like nervous or that she's holding back. Perfect example would be when I went out with Linnea, my current girlfriend. She's just a very talkative person, and at first she was a little shy, but then after 5-10 minutes, it just started going like pretty well uphill, because we just weren't nervous ever since.
Mm-hmm. Just like a sense of comfortability, kind of
being like confident there that it's like, this is what I want, this is what I'm doing.
Like mutual.
Yeah.
Were you done, Jose?
Yeah.
For me, it's like I'm a very big planner. So first off, before I even say that, I agree with Jose when, she's not looking at her nails, or she's not like looking at her phone, or there's like just not long periods of awkward silence is always a good sign. Something else is like when I plan dates, or when a date is planned and like we're doing all the things on the agenda. And I know it's going really well when we start being more spontaneous and like saying like, oh, we should like go get ice cream and then buy a watermelon and like throw it off a balcony or something. Not that that's romantic at all, but that's where my mind went. I'm sorry, I haven't had enough coffee yet for this podcast.
So that makes sense. As in like, you guys plan on doing something, but then it's going so well that you guys just like go and do other things.
Yes.
Like, just random.
Yes. It's going well when you don't want the date to end.
Okay, so were you guys done answering that next one? Are you ready for the follow-up question?
Let's follow up.
What makes you decide to ask a girl on a second date? I guess you guys kind of already answered that, but do you have anything to add on to that?
This very small thing for me is if a girl offers to pay her part. Obviously, I will never, if I take her out on a date, I will never let her pay. But just the thought about her actually just even thinking about paying for her part. So if we go out to dinner, the girl doesn't eat a lot, but she's like, hey, I didn't eat a lot, I'll pay for mine. Or just even that small little thought. It's like she's considerate about it, but I'm obviously not letting her pay for it. It's just that small little thought. It's not such a big deal breaker. I've had encounters where it's like when they don't offer that and then we go on a second date, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that one. For me, it's a little more than that too. Like working up to, just going out of my way to talk to a girl and then trying to ask her out on a date and then, planning that date and then doing all these things and putting all this effort into it. It's kind of like exhausting. And so if a girl even like just texts first and it's so small, but that just shows like she's interested in it and I'm not, overworking myself for nothing. So like texting first, even calling out of nowhere just to say, hey, even if she like initiates the date, yes, please.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait a sec. I have a clarifying question. So Ruby and I were discussing this. No, we were discussing, do guys like when girls make the first move? And Ruby and I ended up messaging a bunch of guys asking them this question. Ruby said that a bunch of guys told her that they love when girls make the first move. And guys told me that they don't love when girls make the first move. They like when girls like flirt or hint at them, but they want to be the one that makes the first move. So what do you guys think?
Well, like the guys that that messaged me, they all were like, yeah, but it just never happens. But they said that it's like confidence and they really liked that. It's weird that, you know, Nicole, like all her guys were like, no, kind of thing. I just rather have hints.
I guess it all depends, right? So there's like, I feel like there's two different types of making the first move. One of them is that I don't like is when a girl is like aggressive about it, like just makes the first move and she's just constantly like just messaging first. If I'm like busy but still going at it, that's where I'm like, I don't like that. Like I wouldn't want essentially, or just like very aggressive about it in a way. But if a girl's just like confident, like saying like, hey, you know, whatever, like let's hang out this day, and then you're busy and she just leaves it like that and tries again the next day, or you try, that's like what I prefer as a first move.
I think I get what you're saying, like being annoying almost, like just constantly nagging you and asking you. Is that what you mean? Kind of? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I would have to agree for sure. I think it really just depends on the person. But for me personally, I love when a girl makes the first move because I'm oblivious as heck. And sometimes I don't even notice that she's dropping hints. So if she were to like actually be explicit about her intentions, then I'd be like, oh, wow, I'm noticed by someone. What?
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, yeah.
Okay. I think that one is maybe something that's just so different based on the guy, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay,
I would
that's
agree.
interesting.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
next question.
3.
Do you stalk girls on Instagram? You don't have to say like directly yourself, but do you think majority of the guys stalk girls on Instagram? Like you have guy friends and stuff.
Oh, 1,000%. Like you
Yes.
don't know when the boys are alone together, and you would not believe how many times a phone gets whipped out. Dude, check this girl out. Oh, where'd you meet her? Oh, I don't know, but we're talking. Like,
Oh my gosh.
This gets me
Yes.
so happy and excited knowing that you guys actually do this.
Yeah.
Wow.
I agree 100%. That's what we do. When I started talking about Linnea, a lot of my friends started like sending me screenshots like, is this her? Is this her? And they're like, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And then we're just like all talking. But then I like to do it just to see kind of like how a girl is, to see if like she's like a very shy person. So like I can kind of tell through their pictures, like saying like if they're just a lot of like family pictures and stuff like that, it tells me that she's a big family person, which is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I see like pictures of where she's also like always outdoors, then it's like she's adventurous and outdoorsy and stuff, and it's also a big thing. So that's kind of like why I did it, what I like to do it. A lot of other guys just also like to do it just because like the girl's pretty or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of taking a wild guess as why some girls do it too.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I do have a question on that. So do you guys zoom into the photos, or do you just literally look at the photo, click on it and boom? Or do you like literally just zoom in and, you know?
We just scroll. It's like, oh, that's a good picture. Move on to the next.
Yeah. And to add on to that, another part of the stalking on Instagram and any sort of social media is just to get kind of like what Jose was saying, just to get like a glimpse of who she is and who she portrays herself to be. And I always go to like bios and any social media platform because that's like my first little glimpse of who she is as a person. So she has like a joke on there, or she has like a Bible verse, I don't know, or any, just that bio gives me a lot with how little it is.
Are we ready for question 4? All right. Sure. Are breakups hard for you? And what and how do men process their feelings during a breakup?
Yeah, I'm going to be bold and say that breakups are the worst thing ever, regardless of who is the dumper and the dumpy, because depending on who you are and depending how long the relationship was, it always comes down to just the routine of like texting somebody every morning and night, phone calls, FaceTimes, how much time you spend with somebody. And a lot of the time, like we plan, I'm gonna say myself, like I plan my day to a significant other. So like I'll plan a work schedule around a date night, or if there's a date night in the week, I'll plan around that, and just putting that person first. And then when you're broken up, that person's like gone. You don't have anything to base your work around, or your schedule around, I should say. And that's not to like idolize a significant other, but that's just like the routine,
But a priority.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. Priority. Things I do to process, whatever, I'll be embarrassed. It's fine. I will turn into like a stereotypical girl going through a breakup. Like I'll watch all the rom-coms. I'll eat out of the carton. I'll order like greasy food that's probably gonna like end up on my face via pimples. And I'll take a bath, and yeah, I'm pretty much glued to my bed. Yeah, that's me in the breakup season.
Well, I agree with you in the way that everyone processes it differently. I guess the biggest thing would also be how much you truly liked the other person. Because I know for me, I've had a couple relationships where they didn't last more than 5 months. And within 2 days, I was like, within a day, actually, I was just fine.
What? Really?
Yeah. And then
Wow.
there was two relationships where it's like, it was a year and a half, and that took me about like 3 or 4 months to get over. And then my recent one, which was 2 years and a half, that one took me about close to about a year to kind of just settle. And that's where that one like kept my whole, like changed my whole life. But usually, so like, but those two long ones, it just kind of like, since how you said we have like essentially we're not prioritizing them, we're not like wrapping our schedules around them. That's where it started, just more focusing on like playing my sports again. So it's like being outdoorsy, trying to fill my time so I don't have to think about who I broke up with, or they broke up with me. So like usually for me, how I get over breakups is just filling up my day, being completely busy.
It's interesting to hear from a guy's perspective.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Look at that. Okay, 5th question. Why do men never put the seat down? Or why do you lift up the toilet seat and still miss?
This was a very common question, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
And I believe that. For me, I'm going to say it's muscle memory. We lift the seat, we pee, and then we wash our hands. And for me, growing up with a mom and 2 sisters in the house, like, yeah, I've learned, but then I've also just reverted back and forth. I can't speak to the missing though. Like if you're going to miss with the seat down, you should just lift. Like you might as well just sit down if the seat's down at that point.
I'm glad you said.
Also, no, you're fine. But if you miss, please clean up, because that's not a gender thing. That's just a cleanliness thing. Please don't leave your unwanted friend.
Your unwanted friend.
Yeah, I agree with you, because at least for me, because I grew up with one sister and she's younger, but for me, I've always been told every time you go pee, it's like just lift the seat. So and then being in a family with just a whole bunch of guys, just in general, like my mom's side and dad's side, just with a whole bunch of guys, it's just always been up. So it was never really brought to my attention that the seat ever really needs to go down after. But yeah, the whole missing part, that's, yeah, if it ever happens to me, it's like at the end, I always clean up, because I was also always taught to clean up after myself.
Good. Yeah.
Kyle,
I'm honestly just surprised, like, at the people who don't clean up.
All right. Next question. Would you be okay with your future wife not taking your last name? And please be 100% honest. I don't want you to ever feel like you have to be like political in this or whatever. Just say your honest opinion.
You're not going to be judged or anything.
See, I don't know, because it's funny, because when I was brought this question up, I was talking with Lene, and I'm like, if you didn't take my last name, well, like, why would it be? Like, kind of see, like, what's the reason for it? I know I've met some of my friends that have been married and they don't take their husband's last name just because it's like they're the only girl in their family. Like, they're like just literally the only child. So then that last name is kind of just done there. So then they want their last name to continue. So and then in that case, like, I'd be okay with it. But if it's just like they just have no reason, it's like that's where I'm a little iffy on it. I wouldn't mind if they like hyphenate and then put like my last name next to it. Like I'm totally fine with that. But I guess for me, it'd just be like, if there's a reasoning behind it, I'm okay.
To be honest, I kind of don't know how I feel. I think that in a perfect world, like my wife would take my last name, but if she didn't want to, like she clearly has reasons and feels strongly enough to not. So I kind of like just would want to respect that, and like the hyphenated name would be an option as well. Excuse me. I want to say I think I'd be okay with it.
I guess this is just one of those situations that like we can think about it, but ultimately at the end we might have a different response once it actually like if it was ever brought up during that instance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you did marry someone that didn't take your last name, would you then really want your kids to take your last name, or would like how would you feel about your children then?
You see, this was like the same thing. So like my aunt, she has her last name. She didn't take my uncle's. But then my cousins, they have their name is hyphenated with both of their last names.
Okay.
So like that would be a good compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
my mom too. My brothers have my mom's and my stepdad's last name.
I think it'd be really cool too if like you just were not settled on an agreement with the last name thing. Just change both your last names and change it to Kardashian. Like see what happens then.
Both of you guys can change it, not just one person.
There you go.
True.
Like,
I actually know someone that did that actually.
really?
Yeah.
You changed your last name to Kardashian.
No.
Oh.
No, they didn't change their last name to Kardashian. No, they both changed their last name to just something new.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've never even thought to do that before. That's interesting.
I think too, just with society, I think it's a lot easier for guys to just accept the fact that someone's not going to take their last name rather than like if like 10, 20 years ago, I think that would be like oh my gosh, no, but I think guys are a bit more open, I feel like, just because of how society is now.
Mm-hmm.
I also guess that it's just a big cultural thing too, maybe. Because I know a lot, like my whole family, so I'm Hispanic. My whole family, mom and dad side, they're married, but like my aunts and uncles, like they just have their individual last name. They've never changed it. They just hyphenate it with the other person's last name.
Yeah, same. All my family members are like that too, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. They do that when I was living in Costa Rica. All the people do that too. And a lot of my Hispanic students have hyphenated last names.
What is hard about being a man that you think no one is really talking about?
Ooh. I think for me, it's the being put in a box with the gender stereotypes. Like we're not allowed to talk about our feelings, quote unquote. We're not allowed to like cry. We're not allowed to just
be sensitive.
I guess like for an example, like living in a house with all guys, and we're going out to a restaurant. I ask like a roommate, like, "Hey, does this look okay?" And then like that's like a taboo because I'm asking if my appearance is okay. Like that's not me,
Yeah.
asking to hold your hand. I don't know.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're just I think taught it to not have like emotion. I don't know, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think that a lot of the time girls too will think like a guy should be manly and just be tough. What about you, Jose?
For me, it's like it's not necessarily like something that's not being talked about, but yeah, kind of the same thing where guys just have like this perspective or like that by a certain age they should have their life set already.
Yep.
So it's like kind of just like how you said, like just stereotyping all the guys to essentially be prepared for a family by like the age of 25, where it's like, if you're dating someone, it's like, oh, by the age of 26 you should be married, this, and have family. And like just kind of just be ready for a family at any instance. And if you don't have your life set in that way, it's kind of like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's some pressure there with like finances too, like to be
Oh,
more of a breadwinner?
100%. Yeah.
I know when, like, for when I met Linnea's family, or just in general, like any girl that I've dated, their family, it's always like, oh, what are your plans for your future? What are this, and this, and like, what are you planning on doing? So it's like kind of just like a big oh, I don't know. And it's like, if you don't have right answers for them, it's kind of just loses a whole interest. Like, I don't know what you're doing with him, kind of stuff like that. And when it's the other way around, it's like, oh, how are you with like my mom and dad when they met my girlfriend? They're just like, oh, how are you? They've never asked her like, what are you planning on doing? So there's just like that big thing where it's like, she's like, I'm gonna meet her parents. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, are they gonna accept me for this? Like this. So there's just like that big pressure.
Mm-hmm. I do completely agree with that. I think there's a lot more pressure on a guy when you bring them home than a guy when they bring home a girl. I feel like I've never had super like pressing questions like that at all. And my dad is really soft-spoken, so he doesn't like ask all these like crazy questions. But still, I mean, I've seen that for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd say another thing too is just like body image insecurity. Like I feel like I can't be insecure about the way I look, as far as like, I don't know, like muscle mass or like.
Yeah, because I feel like eating disorders and like body image insecurity, sometimes we just associate that with women.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to She's All That. This is the part of the podcast where we are sponsored by a company. So head to Squarespace. Squarespace has a bunch of templates where you can set up your website or your personal business. For a 70% off membership for your first month, type in She's All That 70. Thanks for tuning in.
I think we're going to keep that in there, actually. I like that.
Please don't.
Oh my gosh. Okay, are you guys ready for the next question?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm like saying yes, like I'm gonna answer. Yes, we are.
Heck yes, bring it on. Okay. Are there any qualities that you find too intimidating in a woman?
Going off from like my previous answer, it's just that aggressiveness. And it's just it's like, if you think you're like play fighting, but like you're funny, but like always just like punching and moving. Sorry, but just stuff like that. It just, to me, it's just like, no, I don't like that. To a certain extent, you know, if you're both playing around, like that's fine. But if it's just a constant thing that she's always doing, and you've talked about it, it's just, that's where I'm just like, I don't really like.
So too bold, too aggressive?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, I'm treading lightly. I'm trying not to. I'm gonna say something and I'm gonna explain it. So please don't unsubscribe from this podcast if I say something. But if she's too like independent, and by that I mean like she has her life together before you came along in her relationship life, and she just seems so well off. Because one, it makes me think like, oh, she could drop me at any moment because she doesn't need me. But then two, it's like, frick, like I feel like I need to have my life together 8 years ago. And that's like not to change me, but like I feel like I'm left behind. Like I should be, you know, where she's at.
So that intimidates you, but you wouldn't like not continue to date a girl because of it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, this is very
but it's totally okay to have your life together, ladies.
Yeah.
You don't need a significant other. It's okay that you're making more than him. If that's the case, it's okay that you like you're independent. But that's just something that's intimidating.
No, that honestly makes sense. I mean, if I were a guy, and because you guys have this pressure of needing to have your shit together, and you know you should be the breadwinner, all these things. So when a girl is bringing a lot to the table as well, and she's like well off, I can see why that's intimidating, because you're like, oh, like I need to step it up a lot more, you know, kind of thing. But that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. No, I'm just taking it in. Like I always, okay, I feel like, have you guys seen that movie? He's Just Not That Into You. I'm obsessed with that movie. I love it so much. And what, you haven't seen it, Jose? Okay, you're missing out. So
okay.
So no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'll send the deets to Linnea so she can watch that. Just kidding. And so anyways, they always say in it like, oh, like I feel like girls say that all the time, like, oh, he's just intimidated by you. He's just intimidated by you. And I remember always thinking like, I love my friends so much, but are they just lying to me to make me feel so much better? You know what I mean? Or is that actually a thing that happens? I never knew if that was like an actual thing or if it was just something we say to ourselves to make ourselves feel better.
There's a lot of, if you go out on a date with the girl and, you know, her life is just well off, like way beyond what you're capable of as of like right now, let's say. And like she really likes you, all that, but you're just like, I don't know, like she can pay for everything, I can't. So that's just like the small little intimidating thing. And
Yeah.
just like in different brackets that you guys would be in, even though like money shouldn't be an issue in a person's relationship, but like, you know, if a girl wants to go do all these extravagant things, and obviously as a guy we have that pressure to pay, but you're like, I can't afford that, you know, I feel like you're holding her back, so you're like, yeah, I'm just not going to talk to her.
Okay. So do you feel like you do kind of analyze a girl and see like what league she's in, and then if she's not in your league, then that's like intimidating? Is that how you go about that? Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And would partly you be doing that based on stalking her on Instagram, or just in person, or both?
By league, what do you mean? Like look wise, or?
I don't know, just like in general. I feel like people can be in different leagues based on like not just looks, but on like different things too.
Like where they're at in their life and things like that.
Yeah, that's the way I analyze it. It's like, you know, how well off they are, in a sense of like, you know, are they getting their life together, stuff like this, instead of looks.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes me feel a little bit better knowing that like a guy can actually see that, you know? I don't know, when I talk to guys, like I wonder if they just see me as just like, oh, it's just Ruby, just a girl that I'm talking to, or if they actually think into like where I'm at in my life and what I'm doing and like what I'm accomplishing, if they notice those things. So interesting. So what should girls do to encourage a guy to come up to them? So for example, can I just like set a scene a little bit? Okay.
Please do.
So we'll say at a restaurant or at a bar, you know, and you're maybe with your group of friends, and you know, like I'm like sitting with my girls and I look and I'm just like very serious. Is that easy for you to be like, oh, like I can just still go up to her kind of thing? Or would I need to do something to like kind of encourage you to come up to me?
Well,
does that make sense?
Yeah, but here's my question for you. Why can't you go up to the guy that you have eyes for? Because when you're with your girls and you have like this look on your face, that communicates to me, somebody outside that party, oh, we're having a girls' day and we're not trying to like have any testosterone effing up this lady party.
Okay.
Because that's the last thing like I would want to do, is to, you know, assume that like you're checking me out and then like walk into your circle and then be humiliated in front of all your friends, and then now you guys have something to laugh about when I walk away.
Okay, can I just say, if a guy comes up, we're never like laughing at them. We're like, oh my God. Like, I think that's really catty, and just like, I don't know. If we're like, oh my God, you like totally came up to us.
No, I've never done that in my life. But Ruby, I feel like you can give advice on this, because Ruby and I will be out at a bar, and I remember like there's always so many guys coming up to us and they're never talking to me. And I'm always just like, wow, like Ruby, like, what are you doing? Like, I always just thought she was just talking to me, and all these guys were coming up, and she's like, oh, Nicole, I'm just winking. She's like winking at people across the bar, like waving at people. And I was like, what? That's why there's so many guys coming over? I thought you were just sitting here, and no wonder I'm looking like all stoic, just like drinking my drink. Like, it's so funny. Anyways, you can throw a few winks.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like if you're just straight face, just looking at, like, you just look around and then you make eye contact with a guy, but you're with like a group of friends, it's like, yeah, she's cute and all, but not gonna walk, because you know she looks serious, she's hanging out with the girls, not gonna bother her. But if you look over and
smile,
just a little smile, or like how you said Ruby does, like a wink or whatever, just a wave, then it's like, then you just get that impression like, okay, I'm going to go and talk to her because there's something there.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed like at the gym too, like everyone's so serious at the gym. But if you like, there's so many cute guys at the gym. If you are at the gym and you just smile at them, they come up to you every time. I'm telling you, it happens. Like I always was so like, just like, I'm doing my workout. And then I started just smiling at cute guys. And then I just had so many guys coming up to me. I was like, wow, this is working out. All you have to do is smile. I don't wink because I would look like a weirdo, but like they'd be like, is there something in that girl's eye? Okay. But, like, you know, that works for you.
Can I just say, you keep on saying that I wink. When I wink, I'm not trying to be flirty. It's just a natural thing. Like, really, Kyle, I think when we were in the car, I probably like winked. it's not like a, like, oh, like literally just my mom, if you meet my mom, she like winks at everyone. She's like winking at the cashier. She's
Ruby,
just, like,
Ruby, I need to interrupt you.
No,
I'm pretty sure you think it's a natural thing. I don't think it's interpreted as just like, oh, she just winking at random people. Like, I think that's what you think is happening.
Like, no joke, even my students, or when I was a babysitter, I would wink like, oh, you're so cute. And I don't know, I guess, yeah. But Kyle, I just want to say one thing. You know how you're like, why can't the girl go up to them? I would go up to a guy, but it's the same thing. They're also serious. They're with their group of guys. And it's intimidating if I go up and they're like, sorry, it's guys night. Or, oh, like when they're serious, they have to also like give a little hint that they're interested. You know what I mean?
And I think the other thing would be that there's this perspective that a lot of guys are like players, but we're also very considerate, because it's like if you smile or whatever because you're friendly, but then so we build a confidence to go up and talk to you and you're like, sorry, I have a boyfriend or whatever. And that's kind of like, oh, okay. Then in our perspective, it's like, don't smile at us then, because it gives that perception that you want to talk with us. And so we go up and it's like, you have a boyfriend. So kind of, why are you doing this?
That's a good point.
Yeah. I have a quick story before we move on to our next question. I worked in retail for about 4 years of my life. And this woman who had arms full of clothes in my store, I was the only person on the floor. And I went up to her and I said, oh, can I get you a fitting room for all that? And she goes, sorry, I have a boyfriend. And then that's my story.
Oh my God.
What?
I said, okay, that's fine. You can call your boyfriend to open the door for you.
Oh, wow.
Oh my word.
That's exactly the same thing. So on Black Friday, when my friends and I were shopping, I go and I'm in front of this girl and I keep the door open and I'm like, go ahead. And she's like, I have a boyfriend. And I'm like, all right, cool. Wait there. And I just shut the door. Cause I'm like, why? I'm opening the door to be friendly, but yes, it was rude, but it's like, it's just a friendly gesture. Like, I'm not trying to flirt. And like afterwards I did tell him like, it's okay. I have a girlfriend, but that doesn't mean I can't open the door. Like, it's always been something that my mom and dad, like they've taught me as a kid too, where it's like, always hold the door open for the girls. So I guess just the fact that I'm just assuming everything is flirting, being like, sorry, I have a boyfriend. Like, that's cool. Like,
you know what? I feel like you guys are really just calling me out because, when we would go out with like my friends and stuff and we just like hang out or even just like going out to eat, I do smile and stuff, but I feel like I'm just naturally really bubbly, just friendly person. Even at stores, like I'm talking to people at the grocery store, like, hey, what kind of bread do you think I should get? Like, do you recommend anything? Kind of thing. And
do you recommend any bread?
Maybe not bread, but like, do you recommend a bread? Or you know what I mean? Anyways. Yeah. And so when people would come up, Nicole, you can even say like, oh, I don't really talk to them. I'm just like, oh, it's actually girls' night. And so I can see myself. I felt like I just got called out. I probably should work on that. Like, I shouldn't just be smiling and like showing that I'm interested in a guy when I know that I'm not even going to talk to him. If that makes sense, because I usually never do. I just want to be nice and.
Yeah, that's fair. But like, that's who you are too, so you shouldn't change that.
Yeah.
But I understand where you're coming from, Ruby, because like my friends have told me this constantly, where I'm just being friendly, and in my perspective, I'm just a friendly person, so I'm just talkative too to people. And then this apparently, like, I have a couple friends where they're like, yeah, she likes you. I'm like, no, she likes me as a friend, but that's it. And we all hang out. And then I'm like, it just goes over my head. Like, I'm just oblivious to the fact that, they might have a crush on me until they tell me. And I'm like, oh, like, why? I was just being friends. Like, no, you're flirting with her. I'm like, I'm being friendly. I don't know what you count as flirting.
Yes. Jose, I totally agree with you on that. I'm literally like, I just said there's
seeing a pattern here. I think that the takeaway from this podcast episode is communication and intentions. Communicate your intentions, ladies.
I would agree. Okay, so you move on to the last question?
Yeah. Okay, this one piggybacks off the last one. So how scared are you to make the first move?
I think you guys kind of shared a little bit about that.
Yeah, like, does that make you super nervous or?
I'm terrified. And the reasoning for that is because of the rejection aspect, not necessarily because of like, you'll know you're gross, but the sorry, I'm I have a boyfriend.
Mhm.
Like that's the last thing I want to do is like, oh, like okay, I feel awkward now. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was big with me in high school, like my freshman and sophomore, up towards my like junior year, until I really truly grew and like understood how God made me the way I am. So yes, we all have flaws. We all have like, our perks and cons. So it's like, to me at first, like, yes, I was very intimidated because it was like, is she going to say that she has a boyfriend? Does she not think I'm cute enough or whatever? But then at the end, it's like, whatever happens. So it's like, I truly just firstly like grew on how to love myself first. And then after that, it was like, if I got rejected, like, hey, it's totally fine. It just wasn't meant to be. And I just moved on. So like, if you would have asked me this like in high school, yeah, I would have been like terrified. Wouldn't do it unless like there's clear signals there, like 100% just clear there that I could read. But like now it's like, if I would have found someone, then it's like, yeah, I'll go talk to her. Well, not now because I'm in a relationship, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
that makes sense. And I think it's honestly the same thing for girls. Well, I think that I'm not going to go up to a guy and if he doesn't like show, like interest or smiling at me or anything like that, it would be intimidating to go up to a guy for me personally.
Totally. If I wanted to go up to someone, I would have to plan out how I was going to go up to them for like weeks. Like I would be like, okay, there's this cute guy at the gym. I'm going to go up to him and ask him if he knows where this is. Yeah. And like, it would literally be a plan that would be put in place with like 20 of my friends. Like, we would have to go through the whole thing. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm like, wow, good job, boys. I don't know how you do it.
I know. Honestly, you do have a lot of pressure because that would be difficult. Man. Okay. Is there anything else you guys would like to add?
Pro tip for picking guys up, ladies, is just go up to them and be like, hey, do you have a girlfriend? And if they say no, ask them, do you want one? I don't know. You can edit that out if you want. Thanks for tolerating me.
Wait, is that serious? Like, do you actually feel like that would work?
Oh, I don't know. You tell us.
Go test it out.
You know what? When things start opening up, we're going to be putting some of this stuff into practice and we will report back, Kyle. I'll try that one. I promise. I'll try it.
I'm excited to hear the results from that.
Do you want a girlfriend?
Yeah, we're going to be a lot more bold.
But also be careful because don't get a boyfriend just for a social experience.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I feel like Nicole will dig yourself in deeper and deeper and deeper.
You end up marrying somebody that you're like, you were just a social experience.
Like, hashtag do it for the pod.
Nicole literally is always like, I'm just gonna do it for the pod. I'm like, Nicole, you say that like every week. Go you, but I'm a little scared for you.
You guys, no, I'll be fine. Anyways, okay, well, this was so fun. I'm glad that we got your guys' input.
Us.
Yeah.
Yes,
thanks for being
you.
So amazing, you guys. You had
and
great
thanks
answers.
for being bold and answering these questions. I know some of them were a little intimidating or kind of like nerve-wracking. So thank you so much for having the courage to answer these.
Yeah.
For our lovely listeners.
Sure.
Yes. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for tuning in and we will see you next week.
Adios.
Bye.